Hey, what's going on? Jeff Ratcliffe here. You know, it's fantasy football draft season, and one of the questions I get asked all the time at this time of year, which player do you prefer? Player A, player B, right? Let's do that debate at the quarterback position. We got to start at the top, though. Who do we prefer as the #1 quarterback in fantasy this year? And I'm going to go down to Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. I know we could include other players in this conversation, but let's go Brady or Rodgers. #1 fantasy quarterback, who do we prefer? And let's talk about Tom Brady. I mean, hey, he's the NFL's version of a fine wine. He does get better with age, and it's actually pretty incredible when you consider it. Last year, this guy went out, led the league in passing yards at 40 freaking years old, and he leads the league in passing yards. Absolutely incredible from Tom Brady, one of just 3 quarterbacks to top 30 passing touchdowns last year. And entering this year, I mean, you kind of expect rinse and repeat, right, with Tom Brady. But I do have to bring up a couple concerns. First and foremost, well, he is 41 years old. Eventually, for every quarterback, there is an ending point. So when does that ending point come? And when you go back through quarterback history, you may notice that it kind of happens pretty quickly. It's like these guys are sort of elite level, and then all of a sudden, they aren't, right? Look back to Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, you know, kind of happened quickly for a lot of these guys, and then it's over. So when does that happen for Brady? I don't think it happens this year, but it always has to be in the back of our minds. The other big concern that I have is, in general, who's he throwing the ball to other than Rob Gronkowski? Okay, yes, Chris Hogan is there. Julian Edelman's going to start the season on suspension. Julian Edelman's getting up there in age for a wide receiver. You have Chris Hogan there, who showed that he couldn't necessarily stay healthy. You know, they bring in Eric Decker. Is he going to be a factor? He's getting up there in age as well. Kenny Britt. You know, it's not the most exciting group of wide receivers. They have some decent pass catchers out of the backfield, especially James White. But it is a little bit of a concern. It is something that we need to note there with Tom Brady, for as good as he is on the field. And sometimes, let's be clear, Tom Brady doesn't necessarily need an elite group of wide receivers, but it certainly helps. Let's go back to 2007 with Randy Moss. Take a look at that, what he did with an elite receiver, right? So let's go, all right, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Last year, one of the many big name players who was injured, right? We had Aaron Rodgers, we had Odell Beckham Jr., we had David Johnson. It was some of the top names in fantasy football. So we'll toss that one out, but he was the #1 fantasy quarterback in 2016. 40 touchdown passes, that is not an easy thing to do in NFL history. It's been done a dozen times. So Aaron Rodgers, from a productivity standpoint, absolutely massive. Doesn't have Jordy Nelson anymore. That was sort of the red zone safety blanket for Aaron Rodgers over the last couple seasons. But he does have an emerging stud in Davante Adams. And let's not underestimate the impact of bringing Jimmy Graham into the mix. You know, as I said, Jordy Nelson was a great red zone asset for Aaron Rodgers. Well, Jimmy Graham was that for Russell Wilson last year. 20 end zone targets for Jimmy Graham. He was one of just 3 pass catchers to top double-digit touchdowns last year. So Jimmy Graham gives them a little bit of a red zone presence that's going to help Aaron Rodgers out. And let's face it, when you watch Aaron Rodgers, it's kind of like watching a video game. The guy is a freak of nature on the field. He makes the extraordinary look pretty ordinary sometimes, the throws that he is capable of making. It's so much fun to watch. So let's boil it down here. Brady or Rodgers, who am I going with? I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. And it's not a knock on Brady whatsoever, but like I said, Aaron Rodgers has that it factor, that quality that normal human beings don't have on the football field. He's able to create things on his own. He is actually a decent running quarterback as well. He's not going to do a ton of that, right? He's not Cam Newton, but he'll add a little bit with his legs. And that, plus the fact that he has Davante Adams, that he has Jimmy Graham, that he has Randall Cobb, and some younger receiving talent on this team. The surrounding cast just a little bit better there. So it is going to be Aaron Rodgers for me if I had to choose one. Now, of course, if you want to know where I'm drafting quarterbacks, check out our quarterback draft video on this channel. I'll tell you my strategy. And spoiler alert, I'm not actually going to draft Aaron Rodgers. But if I had to pick, it's going to be him. Who do you pick between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady? Why don't you go and tell us in the comments below. Subscribe for more videos, and go check out all the fantasy football goodness at ProFootballFocus.com.